Introduction to Amma. Objectives. To know about Amma, the Chancellor of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. To understand about the philosophy of education in Amma's view. Amma is the guiding light of Amrita University. Amma's words for the youth, her thoughts and values for education and research has helped shape the university's mission and vision. Amma's dream. Everyone in the world should be able to sleep without fear, at least for one night. Everyone should be able to eat to his fill, at least for one day. There should be at least one day when hospitals see no one admitted due to violence. By doing selfless services for at least one day, everyone should help the poor and needy. It is Amma's prayer that at least this small dream be realized. Amma. About Amma. Amritanandamayi Devi, born Sudhamani Indamal, 27 December 1953, is known throughout the world as Amma or Mother for her selfless love and compassion towards all beings. Her entire life has been dedicated to alleviating the pain of the poor and those suffering physically and emotionally. Amma was deeply affected by the profound suffering her witnessed. According to Hinduism, the suffering of an individual is due to his or her own karma, the results of action performed in the past. Amma accepted this concept, but she refused to accept it as a justification for inaction. Amma contemplated the principle of karma until she realized an even more profound truth, asking a question she continues to ask each of us today. If it is one man's karma to suffer, isn't it our dharma to help ease his suffering and pain? My religion is love. Regarding her embarrassing of others, Amma commented, I don't see if it is a man or a woman. I don't see anyone different from my own self. A continuous stream of love flows from me to all of creation. This is my inborn nature. The duty of a doctor is to treat patients. In the same way, my duty is to console those who are suffering. She has never asked anyone to change their religion, does not ask anyone to believe in God or to change their faith, but only to contemplate the essential principles of their own faith and to try to live accordingly, and also to inquire into their own real nature and to believe in themselves. Amma's teachings are universal. Whenever she is asked about her religion, she replies that their religion is love. Love is our true essence. Love has no limitation of caste, religion, race, or nationality. We are all beads stuck together on the same thread of love, Amma. Experiencing her oneness with all of creation, Amma realized that her purpose in life was to uplift allying humanity. It was then that Amma started her spiritual mission, spreading this message of truth, love, and compassion throughout the world by receiving one and all Amma. Today, Amma spends most of the year traveling throughout India and the world in order to uplift suffering humanity through her words and the comfort of her embrace. Her ashram is home to around 3,000 people, and thousands more visit every day from all over the India and the world. Ashram residents and visitors alike are inspired by Amma's example and dedicate themselves to serving the world. Through Amma's vast network of charitable projects, they build homes for the homeless, give pension to the dispute, and provide medical care for the sick. Countless people all over the world are contributing to this loving endeavor. Amma's Darshan. Amma has been giving darshan since her last teenage years. As to how this began, Amma says, people used to come and tell me their troubles. They could cry and I would wipe their tears. When they fell weeping into my lap, I used to hug them. then the next person too wanted it. And so the habit picked up. Amma has embraced more than 34 million people throughout the world for over 30 years. When asked in 2002 to what extent she thought her embrace the ills of the world, Amma replied, I don't say I can do it 100%. Attempting to change the world is like trying to straighten the curly tail of a dog. But society takes birth from people. So, by affecting individuals, you can make changes in the society and through it is in the world. You cannot change it, but you can make changes. The fight in individual minds is responsible for the wars. So, if you can touch people, you can touch the world. Sometimes Amma gives darshan continuously for more than 20 hours. When asked, there she gets the energy to help so many people, she answers, where there is true love, anything is effortless. Bhajans. In today's world, it is often difficult for people to get one pointed concentration in meditation. But this concentration can be attained much easier through devotional singing. It is essential for the singer, the listeners, and nature as well. Later, when the listeners reflect on the songs, they will try to live in accordance with the lessons emanated therein. Amma can recorded more than 1,000 bhajans in 35 languages. She has also composed dozens of bhajans and set them into traditional ragas. Amma's teaching. Amma accepts the various spiritual practices and prayers for of all religions as but various systems for the single goal of purifying the mind. She stresses the importance of meditation, performing actions as karma yoga, and cultivating divine qualities such as compassion, patience, forgiveness, self control, etc. Amma says karma, jnana, and bhakti are all essential. If the two wings of a bird are devoted and action, knowledge is its tail. Only with the help of all three can the bird soar into the heights. In the book The Timeless Path, Swami Ramakrishnananda Puri, one of Amma's senior disciples, writes the spiritual path inculcated by Amma is the same as the one presented in the Vedas and recapitulated in subsequent traditional scriptures such as the Bhagavad Gita. Educational activities, Amrita Educational Institution, the temples of learning. Youngsters need to understand the purpose of life. They need courage and wisdom to face the challenges of life. With the understanding, they become the light of the world. If we can care for the responsible modeling their whole character with love, then the future of the world will be safe. Amma. Education has established a vast network of educational institutions that provide the most modern education while imparting the traditional values of Indian culture. Amma set up her first education facility in 1987, the Amrita Vidyalayam Primary School in Kodungalur, Kerala. Since then, the Mata Amritanandamayi has established more than 60 educational facilities throughout India, including engineering, management, journalism, IT, and medical schools. Today, the majority of these are part of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapetam. Mutt has founded and manages a wide range of educational institutions for the underprivileged and disadvantaged sections of society also. Furthermore, Mutt is providing 32,000 scholarships and disadvantaged children, many of whom have lost a parent due to suicide or have a parent suffering from AIDS. Vidya Vidyamritam, the scholarship program, is currently running in Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Kerala. It was originally started as part of campaign to control India's problem of farmer suicide by providing children of cultural families a means to education. The state goal is to eventually provide 1 lakh such scholarship throughout India. Research for a Better World. Research and development of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham is in disciplines including nanotechnology, biotechnology, robotics, and satellite enabled software solutions. The stated goal behind the research is to harness the power of modern technology to provide effective, targeted aid to communicators and individuals in crisis. Projects include a sensor network system for landslides detection, a high quality, low cost insulin pump for diabetes, a system for early cancer detection and stem cell research. Sakshat Amrita Vocational Education SAVE provide vocational training to remote and improvised areas through haptic devices. Amrita Virtual Interactive E-Learning World, a teacher at one location to connect with students at another location using internet and satellite connectivity. Lectures are recorded and can be viewed later. Amma's philosophy on education. The age old values always sustained and nourished our society life on the planet Earth, and these values serve as the very foundation of a harmonious existence between humans and all of nature, including the plant and animal kingdom. Everyone knows the goal of education is not to create a generation only capable of understanding the language of missions. Education should help us attain samskara, the spiritual culture. If culture merely devoted a renived sense of judgment regarding fashion and cuisine, we don't need education to cultivate it. Even then, so-called uncivilized, the provide of their food and clothing. Spirituality is not something which is separate from life. By thinking spirituality not part of life, we disconnect the external from the internal. The majority of the problems we see in today's world are due to this unhealthy attitude. It is important to create a balance between the external and the internal, the body and the soul. Just as we need our right and left legs to walk properly, spiritual understanding and material knowledge should go hand in hand. While striving to acquire education, a degree, and a qualification to earn a good living, we should understand that education for life is an entirely different thing. Education for life is spirituality, practicing values such as love, compassion, patience, forgiveness, etc. This alone will create a deep sense of responsibility towards our fellow human beings, nature, and the world as a whole. Amma's vision for Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. While aiming academic excellence and opening new avenues for students to perform in the world using their full potential, the institute should also be able to help students to have a better understanding about life from a spiritual point of view. Contrary to the common belief that the only purpose of education is to gain material achievements and prosperity, the education should create an atmosphere to help students understand that serving the society with a selfless attitude is also of prime importance. needs. The world should know that a life of material prosperity, well supported by spiritual goals, is very possible, and that this kind of life alone with enable humanity to realize the dreams of peace and happiness while living in the modern day atmosphere of cutthroat competition and selfishness. Further, Amma should like the institute to give prime importance to research activities in all areas of science and technology, and thereby work for the uplift of society as a whole. Amma says if the institute moves ahead upholding these principles, it will become a center of excellence and a model for the entire world. Excerpts from the article on Amma by Dr. Venkat Ragan, Vice Chancellor, Amrita University. As the Chancellor of Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Amma is our source of inspiration, guidance, energy, and nourishment. As a student here, each one of you is extremely fortunate. At what other university does every student have direct access to the chancellor? In Amma, not only do we have a chancellor with whom we can discuss our educational concerns, but also a loving mother ever ready to listen to our personal problems and difficulties. Furthermore, Amba's embrace has the potential to transform us from ordinary to extraordinary. You may ask what would possible happen during the few seconds of Amma's embrace. We all know two computers can connect via a high speed network. These days, we speak of informational transfer in terms of gigabytes, that is 1 million bytes per second. At this speed, a 1,000-page encyclopedia can be transmitted in less than a hundredth of a second. Computer programmers know that regardless of how powerful a computer might be, it is really just a high speed idiot. If two such idiots can exchange an entire encyclopedia in few milliseconds, imagine how much more Amma, how how is one with the universal intelligence can bestow upon us during their embrace. I am reminded of one observation made by a distinguished scientist who once visited our university. He remarked that ontisible one's life could present more obstacles than Amma's. She was born in a family of meager income, economic barrier. She was born into the fisherman's community, caste barrier. Instead of a metropolis like New York or Mumbai, she was born in a remote Kerala village, religion barrier. She only studied up to fourth standard, educational barrier. She speaks only Malayalam, language barrier. Her skin is dark, color barrier. And finally, being a woman, she faced gender barrier. Despite all these barriers and obstacles, Amma was still able to conquer the world through her divine and selfless love. Can one ask for a more inspiring role model?